Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. Welcome back. Welcome back. Glad to see everybody again. Hey, Pete, how's it going? Waters, how's it going? Mr. Wizix? Yeah, Waters, I may be down there in the next couple of days. Actually, I probably will be down there in the next couple of days just to bring some stuff that needs to go back down there so I can get prepared for Saturday where I need to bring a bunch of other stuff down there as well. And by down there, I'm talking about Ecovate. So I hope everybody had a great week. I know I didn't stream a lot this last week. I apologize. Had full intentions of streaming, and last minute we kind of had some things go on with my son who lives out in Goshen, Indiana. He got hospitalized overnight for severe dehydration, and lo and behold, we were down there and I could see why he got dehydrated. It was stupid, crazy hot. Moist would be the word of the day. Hey, CGS Creations, welcome on in. Yeah, it was another hot MRRF where they did have some chillers going on, some big type of swamp coolers. But doing those with that much humidity, it was, I mean, there was standing water on the floors. Yeah, I will be there on Saturday, but I need to be there beforehand to bring back like the Mark IV and some other stuff to get it back out there on display. Heat exhaustion is serious, correct, Mr. Wizix. In this case, he was drinking water, but he was sweating so much. And what he wasn't drinking was electrolytes. So when he went in there, he had a severe electrolyte imbalance, and that was what they were trying to correct. Was getting that squared away. So we had some sports drinks. We had some liquid IV, which also gets you your electrolytes up and stuff like that. Yeah, it needs air conditioning, not swamp coolers or chillers. And there's other buildings there with air conditioning. Now, that said, it was packed. It was packed. I was worried going into this year because last year they had like half of the center aisles filled with maker spaces, and the other half they cleared out and they were running death racers inside the building. This year they had the next building over. They just rolled up the doors and you could walk between the two buildings. And the other side had, I think there were some maker spaces over there, but they had the battle bots, the death racers, the drag racers, and all of that was over in the other building. And that was nice. It was so hot that if they were doing the races out on the asphalt, which was repaved within the last year plus, it would have been unbearable. So I'm so glad that they had that going. So that was good. We had plenty of people there this year, so it was really good. Hey, Eagle the Dragon, welcome on in. We're doing good, buddy. Me and your sister, we're relaxing today, trying to stay out of the heat. It was 102 here today. So we're still dealing with the heat. So we're trying to stay inside and stay cool, stay hydrated. And this is my second cup of coffee of the day. So still trying to stay hydrated. I don't know, but I know there were people that would definitely pay tickets or buy tickets to offset the cost. But it is what it is. It's outside of my control, so we'll just leave it there. But we had a great show. I stayed at the table a lot more. Kind of chat with people when I went to use the restroom or went to go find some food. And to the point where I almost had the box turtle completely built on Saturday. The only thing that kept me from having the box turtle wired up and completed on Saturday was the AFC board mount. I didn't print the part. Luckily, I had a printer there and I had some PETG, so I just printed that part in PETG. You know, that's going to work perfectly fine for the AFC mount. Everybody really loved the color scheme, and it worked out perfectly because Overture was basically right across from me. I had the Kadive build plate folks. We had KB, Kadive, and Overture, then Polymaker. And Greg from Overture had a black light. So I was able to grab his black light and kind of show everybody the neon colors, and it looked great. It came out fabulously. I tried to do some videos and post some pictures of it under the black light. I don't think they come out as good as it does in person. I will say I got a picture and posted a picture with the winner. I also got a picture with Chewy holding it that he really didn't want me to take, and I was like, this is for me. I will not post it unless you give me permission to. But you know, just seeing him out there and happy again was worth it. Yeah, if we did that one again, what we would love to do is do an enclosure for it and add some lights up around the top of the enclosure that would glow it. And after doing that build, I kind of want to do one in that color scheme for myself. So I don't know. I'll probably rebuild one of these. Let's go in with some things that came out of MRRF. One, thanks to Kevin, we got one of these pre-printed. So we got a lot of maker coins or maker chips this year. So we got our maker chips. We had enough maker chips printed, and the first thing I did was I started this printer and started printing out more chips for Mrs. Dragon because that's the colors that we had in there. So I'm going to start reprinting some chips. On Dragoon 1 over here, the far one, I'm starting to print out the 21 plates of printed parts for the CASA enclosure. Now let me explain this. This is just the main enclosure. It's not the basement. There's going to be another probably 15 to 20 plates of basement parts, which is the basement is going to be the lower portion of the enclosure with a sloped side down that you can help collect chips and bring it down into a chip tray that you can pull out and throw away. Also, if you know, with that sloped lower bed, if you were doing any type of misting or flood cooling for your parts, it would go down in there and you could pull it out, drain it, filter it, and reuse it, and recycle it. Hey Jedi Spidey, how's it going? Hope you're doing well. So I'm starting to print those parts out now. That will not be built in here. It will have to be built out in the shed because it can't get it through the door. So it's going to have to, you know, I can build it in the shed, and if we decide to move things into the garage, it'll move into the garage because I have the double door on the shed. Which means I probably won't live stream it. I might be able to live stream, but it's going to have to be done via webcam, or not webcam, wireless, and I don't know if I'll have a good enough connectivity. So I may just record the videos, do some editing, light editing, very light editing, and put that up as YouTube content. But we're starting to print the parts for the CASA enclosure that came in. I got some Nighthawk Stealth Burner boards that I ordered from KB3D. I'll be taking one down there to Ecovate to use that to update the Voron 2.4 for EPACs. So I'm working on their Voron 2.4, and I'll be doing that. Then what else? They're going to be shipping me the Nebula panel parts that I ordered, just because with the storms that we're rolling through, it saved them time not having to try and cut those to bring them to the show. So that'll happen. We've got Riff down here. We'll work on Riff a little bit more. I'm going to get with V4 Project and see if I can get some more of the parts for the XY gantry wiring. Once again, that would be a separate controller board and some other parts to come off to do the umbilical. So we'll look into that. And if I'm waiting on him. He is back and he is working on stuff. So if that drops or releases soon, then we can continue that. If not, once we wire up the beds, we're kind of in a holding pattern at that point. And we can go in and start building the Nebula frame for the 0G Mercury rebuild of our Ender 5 plus size, so the big size. So we can start working on that. One of the other things that we got in that I'm going to have to do some research on is I got a tub full of parts, and I know some of the parts that were built have to be rebuilt because the printed parts have changed. But I did pick up the Micron Plus kit, well, Micron Plus parts, the base kit, the mods and everything that Zura is looking to get built. So the Micron Plus just released an R1 version. There's no full documentation yet. It's primarily CAD. So he knows my background. He reached out to me right before MRRF and asked if I'd be interested in building that on stream. And I said yes. So we will be, I brought that project back. We will be building that. I will have to print some parts out for that. Also, I did talk with Jason out at LDO and got a couple of things from Jason at LDO. Let me go ahead and jump over here, whoops, to the bench. You might have seen this out on X, but I got one of these nozzles. It's an Orbiter Beta nozzle. I believe it has I'm not sure if it's a wavy or a curved, I think it's a spiraled orifice path. We're going to see, we're going to put it on something, try it out, and see what it does. And we'll be giving some feedback back to Jason on that. The other thing that he had there was a Bulldog machine vise. And while I was talking to him, he said, "You don't have a Milo, do you?" I said, "Yeah, I have a Milo." So I now have a Bulldog vise for the Milo. So we will be doing some Milo content. Even though it's hot as heck outside right now, we will be doing some Milo content. We'll be building the Casa. We'll get this up. We'll be getting the Milo up and running. Once we get the Milo up and running and cutting things, then we'll switch over and we'll start looking at the getting the rat rig mill up and running as well. Bunsen burner, melt them out. Yeah, it'll be interesting because there's not going to be a no clogger or anything like that if you've got a spiraled nozzle. And I'm not sure the idea or premise behind it. This is the first thing I heard about it was when he threw that post up. So I'm like, I don't know, but we'll take a look at it. Right? So we got the nozzle and we got the test Bulldog vise that we'll be working on our Milo, Millennium Machines Milo. We got some filament. We got tons of filament. Miss Dragon, Atomic came by, was dropping off cards, said, hey, fill out the back, bring it by the booth, and we'll give you a roll of filament. So I handed it to Miss Dragon, and she went out and picked up this Atomic Bug Eyes PLA. And we'll take a look at this a little bit later. I don't want to open it up just because of how hot it's been. I'm going to try and keep it closed and sealed up. But this is a beautiful, like, shimmery color. It's going to be interesting to see. And then we picked up some Jurassic Amber from Green Gate Filaments, as well as a spool of their Smurf blue. So we got a couple of these. Now, Edge of 3D was there and had a ton of filament that he's like, come grab it. At the end of the day, it ain't coming home with me. It'll go in the dumpster if nobody grabs it. So I went over and I grabbed a bunch. And I grabbed a bunch of the Soriatech ASA and ABS glass filled. Evil Diesel grabbed some of the PET glass filled. Miss Dragon grabbed some PLA colors. And believe it or not, anything that was an open spool is down here in the cabinet. PLA or not, because, yeah, putting those spools in there, I put them in there about 5 hours ago, and it's pulled everything back down to 19%. It was at 1% when I opened the case and put stuff in it. I don't know if you've seen some posts on X, but there's some other people that had gotten some open spools that were out there all weekend long, and they threw them in one of their poly dryers, and it was reading 85% humidity. So waterlogged to the nth degree is basically where we were going with that. Yeah, that's what I would think, Waters, is it's more time in the melt zone, more surface area, getting the heat pulled in, yeah. Yeah, the high flow obsidian nozzles. Yeah, the high flow is multiple channels, right? It's like the CHT where it breaks it into 3 pass and then joins them right at the end. So, yeah, it kind of scares me a little bit, but we'll give it a try. And as soon as I clog it, okay, it's clogged. Did you try running some nylon through it to clear it as well? I'm assuming, yeah, that's going to Pete. Yeah. The M in MRRF is for moist. Yes, Nick, and it was moist. So like I said, I've got a bag here of filament. I also picked up some Pro PCTG from 3D Fuel. I got the transparent ultramarine blue and the transparent ruby red, and I initially picked up a spool of the midnight black, and I went back and got a whole case. They wound up going 50% off on the second day of the show, and I just couldn't pass it up, so I went back and grabbed I grabbed a case. So we're good on filament for a while. The projects are good. We're covered pretty much. But yeah, we got our maker chip collection updated with some new ones. Layer by layer. This one was really interesting because it was in parts. You would basically grab the center ring and choose the color of your choice, and then you could choose 2 of the outer rings and they just click together. You just have to twist them together and they'll click together. So you can basically customize your chip on the spot. And I thought that was a really cool and neat design choice there. We've got a couple with NFCs. Of course, Karen Chow had hers where she just adds the sticker for the QR code on the back, which stickers are going to print QR codes a lot easier. They're going to be guaranteed to work. But yeah, we've got a couple here that are NFC. That have the embedded NFC chips and stuff like that. So yeah, got a new haul of maker chips this go around. So that's nice. We'll set that up there and see how long it takes to wiggle and wobble its way off. And then the other thing that we picked up, I was talking with KB3D Chris about the Jabberwocky on Sunday. And was just asking him, like, you know, hey, what are the new Jabberwocky kits running and stuff like that. And the Jabberwocky kits that he had were the full kits. I think they were running 145, I believe. And it comes with a conch hot end from Thetis, and the extruder, the whole 9 yards. So a conch hot end by Thetis, and the Nighthawk board, and so forth. There is the Jabberwocky kit, right? So Nighthawk board on one side, all the parts on the other. In the future, they're going to sell the Jabberwocky as kind of a bare bones mod, so it won't have the Nighthawk and it won't have the hot ends, so that you can print the parts based on equipment that you already have on hand, or if you want to go with a different option. But, you know, in great LDO style, all of your lights are pre-wired, your end stop sensors are pre-wired. I say end stops, but they're most likely filament runout sensors. You know, all of your parts are nicely packaged. Machine screws. There's the Thetis conch hot end. 2510 axial, that would be for cooling of the tool head. The LGO 8-tooth motor. 3010 blower fans for part cooling. And fasteners and more fasteners. So it's a very comprehensive kit. I'm looking forward to getting one of these built and checking it out. I think it's going to be another pretty awesome tool head. We even have a makeup bag. I guess these are some bits and bobs that were not in the kit originally. And then once again, the Nighthawk board is pretty standard LDO. Whoops, you've got the Nighthawk board itself, and then the power to USB PC piece that goes under the deck, various hardware, and your cable connections. So once again, another very comprehensive kit by LDO. And definitely looking forward to getting this built and trying it out on something. It's got the tool head cutter in it as well. That is part of the mix with Jabberwocky, is a tool head cutter. So this will work well with any box turtle setup that you have. I will say, talking about box turtles, hey RC Maniac, how's it going? Yeah, doing the induction coil, we talked about that. Yeah, it is, RC Maniac. So the box turtle that's up here is probably going to find a new home somewhere this summer. Not probably, it will. It may be, this may be the one that gets rebuilt to the full final spec of box turtle and become the neon one. And the reason being is this 2.4 is going to get some upgrades. And those upgrades are going to be the stealth changer. So we will be doing a 4-head stealth changer on this 300 size 2.4. I'm waiting on the black kit to come in. They could have shipped me the space gray frame, but this is a black frame. So I want to get the black frame for it. But it's going to have 2 orbiters and 2 Galileo extruders. You look forward to reigniting with your box turtles this weekend? Yes, Thunder Keys, I can imagine that you are. They are safe, they are sound. I did use the tub to transport the automated auto ejects down to the show, but your stuff was sitting here in the AC, staying nice and cool. I'm going to move some stuff that I need to take back to Echovate down there, and then get your turtles boxed back up in the tub, and we'll bring them down there Saturday for the maker meetup. So, but yeah, as I was saying, we've got several big things going on. Like I said, we're going to get the stuff to do a stealth changer over here, which I was looking through some of that documentation and just eyes glassed over quickly. And I'm like, I need more sleep before I start looking through this, because there's options galore as far as, do you do full stealth burners? Do you do dragon burners? Do you do rapid burners? Do you do Zoll, A4T? You know, pick a tool head that you want to do on that. So we're gonna have to go through and trying to decide what we want to do, and see about making that a little more colorful. We may wind up, I don't really want to rebuild it. Yeah, we're not going to rebuild it. We'll get the same colors, and we'll just kind of stick with the same colors. Yeah, you'll be over at the Echovate booth next to Luke's on the main floor. Yeah. So interesting news. Good news here is Echovate's going to have some booth space down on the main floor at 3D Printopia. We don't have the map out or anything yet to know exactly where, but I have heard from Chris that they're going to try and put my booth next to Echovate's this year. So I should be down on the main floor next to Echovate this year. So, and thank you for the follow, Zania. I hope I pronounced that. Welcome on in. You'll see me tomorrow. Okay, Waters. Hey, Chewy, how's it going? Welcome in. Evening, everybody. Chewy, once again, thank you for the 25 months subscribe in a row. I appreciate that. And also, thank you, Chewy, for that sponsored build. It was a little hectic. I was kind of losing it a little bit there, because I went from after Murph going to Murph. I wasn't going to do anything. I was just going to do maker chips. To 2 weeks out, Chewy goes, hey, I'll sponsor a build. And so I went crazy trying to get everything printed out, and I was working with the automated stuff, and so it was getting a little bit crazy again. I love it. I mean, I'm paramilitary, so I kind of work under that pressure well. But oh no, that was fine. That I had plenty of time to get printed, right? That was no big deal. It was more trying to get the auto eject stuff up and running and get 2 units up and running. I got them put together and wired up and figured out some issues with the clipper setup at the show on Friday, and the machines were homing, but we did not have them calibrated. And because I was doing the box turtle build, I spent no more time. It was just set up there on display. We were printing with the Mark IV in good rep fashion, just like every show I've been to. Somebody came up and said, "Hey, can you print something for me?" I'm like, "Sure, what do you need?" And we jumped right into it. It was a young high schooler. They were running BattleBots, and he was testing his BattleBot, and first strike blew his shattered his tumbler weapon. So we quickly worked through, got the file, got it sliced up and printed for him on the Mark IV, and we started running a second print for him. Ran out of filament because he had to take his filament with him at the end of the show, and luckily was able to get the part that I needed for the box turtle built, which was the AFC mount, the actual controller board mount. Hey, welcome in, Big Jano. Thank you for the resubscribe, and we've got a hype train going on, I believe. So thank you very much, everybody. Mr. Wizix for the resubscribe for 17 months. Thank you very much, sir. I appreciate that. So who won the box turtle? It was the... I'm drawing a blank. It was the guy that was right next to Otter's Danger Den's table. Won the box turtle, and in true box turtle fashion, he did get a box turtle plushie, being the big box turtle, or the big turtle plushies that we stumbled across at the Love's truck stops. So he got a box turtle, and he got a box turtle plushie that he could take home. So yeah, and I heard Big Jano, thanks to Otter's Danger Den for the assist. We got his printer project up and working. I believe it was moving and homing by the end of the show, so that's awesome. We acquired so the big tease in my video on X, for those of you that are still trying to figure out what it was that I did a raffle and raffled off one of my printers, Red Dragon, which is a serialized Enderwire build that we did almost 2 years ago on this channel. And I say almost 2 years ago because I don't have video footage of the build. We took that last minute, decided to throw that in the car, and we raffled that off at the show, which was a huge success. We did wind up having an issue right at the end when I went in to reset the password on the CB1. It was taking an ADC out of range error, and I don't know if it's bad. It's got a Revo, so it'd be a Revo heater and thermistor setup, but it was reading like -20 degrees. So hopefully, because it's microfit up into the board, and I triple checked all the wiring. Hopefully it's just the fact of the heat and moisture that was there, and he gets it home and things kind of, it's in an air-conditioned environment and it works. If not, I asked him to reach out to me and I will send him a new heater core to replace that one. But, oh, they were excited. They were excited. And then they were really excited about trying to get the interwire build, which was semi-interesting. I mean, but the interwire build, yeah, a lot of people were trying hard for that. So yeah, yeah, we made a couple of people happy. The box turtle build went to somebody that is familiar with box turtles, so they can do the final wiring, because you do have to do your CAN bus wiring to suit your printer, and then update the printer and get it going. And then the gentleman that got the interwire has built several printers, so he's very familiar and can work through those issues. It was more of, if the thermistor is bad, I don't want to give you a non-functional printer. So give me a call and I'll reimburse you for the part or whatever. But yeah, can't go wrong with the Digital Dragon build. Thank you, Chewy. Speaking of which, how's yours doing? So yeah, like I said, we've got some projects going. Don't know how much we're going to print during the day, simply because it's been so hot here. But we're definitely going to be working on printing stuff through the night, especially when I looked and the basic CASA enclosure was 21 build plates. So we're going to be rocking and rolling there to keep that going and try and get these parts printed out. And they are going to all be black, because why not? It's going to be the enclosure. It's going to be out in the garage or shed. It probably won't be on stream too much. So yes, it's definitely hot. I can't even imagine what it is down there in Fayetteville. Wonderfully underused. You haven't been printing a lot lately. You need to start doing Christmas stuff. Yes, you do. There you go. Hey, MakerMind Nexus, how's it going? Nice to see you, my friend. So MakerMind Nexus, I bribed him because I bought two of his printers. I bought a Prusa Mark III, and I bought an FL Sun Super Racer from him. And he said, okay, how am I going to get this to you? And I said, real easy. You're going to keep the printers, and you're going to continue to print with them and print whatever you need to. And then you'll have to come to MRRF and bring them to MRRF. So he made the mad dash Saturday, was sitting in the parking lot Sunday morning when the transformer outside the fairgrounds blew and lost all power in the fairgrounds. So that's how we started day 2 off. And I need to get that file of surviving the MRRF 2025 power outage. But yeah, it was good to see Dan. Printers or not, it was good to see Dan. We were able to take the printers and put them directly into Mrs. Dragon's car so that she can take them with her, because she left early Sunday to go down to Indianapolis for a Simple Minds concert. So she bagged out on us to go to a concert, which is fine. She had a blast, and she got home just a couple hours after we did yesterday, so that worked out well. I got up this morning, slept in, which felt great. Went and got a few hairs cut. I don't feel shaggy anymore, and came back and decided I was going to play with the FL Sun. So I was kind of reading up on it a little bit, and realized it's still pretty much stock, isn't it, Dan? Running Marlin, which surprises me. I figured he would have already clipperized it by now, but it's got Marlin on it. There are a lot of people that have clipperized them, but I haven't even opened it up. Apparently, it comes with one of two boards. And I believe based on the connection slots that are in the top side, that it's got the Robin Nano. So, oh yeah, not a problem. Hey, I needed somebody loud and boisterous, so you know you were right there, easy to grab. Um, you were going to clipper it, but just hadn't. Yeah, no, that's not a big deal. We can clipperize it with MKS Robin, or I could, hey, Free Heathen, how's it going? Or I could just slap a different board in it. It's no big deal. Um, but yeah, welcome in, Free Heathen. We are just chit chatting. We've got, we got our new set of maker chips and a lot of new ones this time around. So we got our maker chips. And I got to check with Mrs. Dragon. She might have a few that I didn't snag. So we got our set of maker chips there. We had the auto eject on show at the table. I wasn't able to get it fully up and running because it was going to need calibration. And that would require me to sit down with Makesh, who's in Auckland, New Zealand. So they're 16 hours ahead of us. So yeah, I'm going to have to set up some time this week to try and work on getting it configured and set up to work on the Prusa Mark IV. And I'll either have it down at Echovate or I'll bring the Mark IV back here and I'll run that setup back here. But, you know, a few things. We got a few more people in here. So if you saw on X, Jason posted about the twist flow nozzle. So I have one of these. This image right here is all I know about it. That's it. Hey, Beans. So we're going to throw this on something. We'll test it out. It looks to be a standard V6 style hot end. I'm pretty sure. I don't even know what 3D printing is. Sure you don't. Ooh, interesting. Well, I can tell you this. I can see light through it. And I'm not sure if I'll get this on camera or not. We'll see. Can we see focus? Come on, focus. The orifice there. That's not a round orifice. So I wonder if that is basically, I don't know. I'll have to ask Jason some more about this. That's just an interesting cut. These are definitely beta nozzles. I'm going to throw it in something and give it a shot, see what it looks like. And get him some feedback. It was one of those things that he said, hey, anybody interested? I think they brought 10. So I'm one of 10 that has this nozzle to give it a test. And then we were chatting a little bit, and he found out that I had a Milo. So I'm starting to print all the parts now to get my CASA going, because we got a set of the Bulldog vices to test out with the Milo. These are a low profile, if I can get one out, low profile vice set. that will be able to secure down on the bolt pattern. So one of the things I know that Fabrico has a different plate that you mount. Like we've got, I think it's the breakfast plate for the Milo. The problem is the hole pattern does not work with commercial vices. So Fabrico made a new plate that goes on the extrusion layout for the X and Y, or for the X, so that you can use, it's got the right bolt pattern to use industry standard low profile vices like this. Well, it looks like what they did was they came up with a low profile vise that is designed for the hole pattern of the existing breakfast plate. So we've got that we'll test out as well. So we've got to get the Milo up and running and flinging some chips. I just want to try and get the Casa going before I do that. And then, like I said, I was talking with Chris over at KB3D, and he gave me the last Jabberwocky kit. This is a full tool head kit to build a Jabberwocky tool head. And you'll see here it's got the lever over here, which is a tool head cutter. And this should be able to go on any of the, I believe it goes on any of the printer for ants carriages, I think. I'm pretty sure it can go on any of the printer for ants, as well as most likely a standard. So I was asking Chris about it, and he said, that's my last one. If you want it, grab it, test it, tell me what you think. So I immediately picked that off the table, didn't think twice. So we got a few things, right? So as we were talking, we picked up 2 Mark IIIs, so one from Dan and one from KB3D. That's a Mark IIIS. Dan, was yours a standard Mark III or was it a Mark IIIS? You love Cutie Chris? Yeah, we had Chris and Chris too there, and yeah. I'm talking to them. I think they're trying to figure out what day would work. Yeah, exactly, too. That's not something you say no to. It was a Mark IIIS Plus. Okay, great. So that goes well with the one that we picked up from KB3D as well. Yeah, so once again, this box turtle right here that the Blood Angels Warhammer helmet is sitting. Oh no, that's not Blood Angels. That's just the chaplain. That box turtle is coming down, and it'll go on something else, which means it'll get rebuilt to the latest spec, because I don't think that was the final spec. I think this is still one of my beta builds. I'll take this one down and rebuild it. Maybe give it away at 3D Printopia. Who knows? I may be doing another build at 3D Printopia, but why not give, 2 away? The reason we're getting rid of that one is because Fey Dragon here is becoming a stealth changer later this summer. LDO is going to be sending me the kit. It could have been in transit right now, or it could have showed up while I was out of town. If I wanted the space gray, unfortunately this is a black frame. So I asked for the black frame kit, which is going to come mid-July-ish. So probably won't make it to 3D Printopia, just because that'll be a bit of a haul to get done that quickly with some of the other stuff we've got going. We're still working on the Riff, which is 300 by 600. We've got the Ender 5 Plus 0G called Mercury Rising that's sitting downstairs. We're going to rebuild that using the Nebula frame, which, if you all remember, was the, and please forgive the mess. nebula frame. So this was the nebula frame, or this is what was named nebula. So we've got the custom frame here. If you guys remember, we built this like 2 years ago from just cut extrusion. I had to drill and tap it myself. We're building this frame for the Ender 5 Plus size. We're going to put an all metal. Oops, wrong one. Sorry about that. We're going to put an all metal gantry on it with the 9mm belts. That's a mod from Turtle Crawler. I've already got those parts cut by Send Cut Send. Got all the other bits and bobs that I need for the 9mm belt update. What else? We've got a pair of Kraken motors, thanks to West 3D, that are going to go into that build. So we'll have that to do. Panels are coming from KB3D. I ordered them. He did not bring them to the show. He's going to ship them to me. And the 9mm belt will let me get some higher tensions, especially since it's 9mm belt CNC metal parts versus printed parts, and the motors will be in double shear. So that should work out well. I think I got the high temp Gates GT2 belts, which should have, I believe, nylon reinforcement in them. I believe. I do know that they have some type of reinforcement in them. So we've got that planned. There's going to be a specialty tool head installed in that. Just like there will be one in the Rift, there will be one in that build. The Stealth Changer kit, LDO is sending me 2 orbiters and 2 Galileo tool heads. And we're going to do another small build, a Printer France build for Zura. He asked if I'd be willing to build his Micron Plus. He had the Micron Plus kit, was starting and getting ready to build it, had some parts printed out, and then R1 came out and changed some of the parts. And he really wants some of the benefits of R1. So we're going to I got to look through that, look through all the parts, the tool head, and the hot end and stuff like that he was going with, figure out what parts I need to reprint. We'll get those reprinted, and we're going to do that build here on the channel. So we will build that here on the channel. It's going to be really neat. There's Galileo Z steppers, a Galileo extruder. Yeah, lots of fun things coming up. Evil Diesel has a couple of projects that he's going to be working on, and we are going to move forward with a project. We'll code name it so that we can talk about it in code. But yeah, it's going to be big. It's going to require something big. So we'll see what I can do with my printers, seeing as how we got a Trident 350 and the Riff and the 0G Mercury 1 based on the Ender 5 Plus size, which is 370 by 370. We need something bigger. We potentially have the Optimus P1 down at Echovate. So yeah, we've got some things. I have got to go and work on that, Free Heathen. The first thing that I need to do is start working on getting the machine, the spindle, stuff like that, calibrated. And then once I get all the parts printed, I'm going to build the CASA enclosure, which will at least enclose the mill. And it'll move the electronics over into a separate electronics pod. to keep it safe from any flying chips and so forth. And we'll get that built, and then we'll be able to start doing some test milling. Because one of the things I would love to do is get the files and try and cut my own motor mounts and stuff for that XY gantry, and then we can swap the smaller one over to all CNC parts and just make sure that, you know, everything's coming out well. And I think that should work great. You want to mill some copper or bronze? Yeah, great. It should be fine to do copper, bronze, aluminum, and some steel, but, you know, kind of mild steel, not tool steel. And I see that we've got an ad that's getting ready to start. So yeah, just been wanting to sit here and chat about the event, all the cool things that we had. Like I said, we got some cool colors. This is the Jurassic Amber from Greengate. So that is Jurassic Amber. And then this is Smurf Blue. So this is their color for the show. Right? And then Mrs. Dragon, Atomic came around and was giving away cards that said, hey, you know, put your contact information here and come down and get a roll of filament. They were handing them out to all the maker tables. And this is called Bug Eyes. And that's going to be hard to see. I really wish I could, maybe right there you can kind of see some of that shimmering. But this is going to be a cool color. I don't want to open it up just because it's so hot. And, you know, I'm going to be dealing with some some humidity issues here in the house. I did pick up a bunch of PCTG from 3D Fuel. It's supposed to have 1/3 less hygroscopic properties as regular PETG, meaning it doesn't soak up water as quickly. It's got better strength properties to it as well. So I'm curious and interested to see how that works out. But at the same time, when they have a 50% off sale, I bought a case. So we're going to give it a try. You know, coming to a death racer or something near you probably. You grabbed some of that too? Yeah. Did you see the ABS Plus next to him? That was a blend of ABS and PETG. I did not. Was that at the TH3D booth? Okay, Newmaker was Newmaker was back on the back end. You had KB3D on my side. Newmaker's was in the other corner. But I did not see that blend. 3D Fuel was up towards the front. You had like Atomic, TH3D, 3D Fuel, somebody else, and then Greengate. So, yeah, I didn't see Polar there. I'm looking forward to seeing Mitch from Polar at 3D Printtopia. But let me move a couple of things out of the way. That includes the coffee. I got to slide that back just a little bit. And we'll bring the beast up. Oh, is she getting heavy? I swear she's putting on weight between build sessions. So, for those of you that don't remember, we've been working on the RIF 600. So this is a 300 by 600 build. volume printer. The files are available on Printable. They're not all there just yet. I'll go to the side camera in a second to kind of show you my layout and how I've deviated a little bit. We're using beefy idlers at the front. We have dual Ys. Hard to see because apparently it's off the camera. Let's go to the bench side here. So we've got dual Y motors, one on each side, and a single X motor. So this is similar or akin to an Ender 5 Plus standard, right? Where you've got a single motor driving two Y belts, sorry, and a single X motor, right? We'll have dual 300 millimeter build plates. These are standard CR10s, so they're the good old printed PCB. I think like about 3 millimeter, 4 millimeter if we're lucky on a good day. Build plates. I'm hoping they don't taco. If they do start to taco, then we will, we'll make a design change and we'll go get some Mike 6 build plates. This setup right here with the two plates and the magnets and PEI was about $150, $170. Each Mike 6 build plate with heater and everything was going to be like $300 each. So we're going to give this a shot. The whole point of this is reuse of parts and go cheap. So these are some stepper online motors back here that I have had on the shelf for 2+ years. So we just cracked them open. We are using 12 millimeter linear rods on all four corners with standard lead screws. Once again, the stepper online motors underneath on all four corners. We've got dual MRRF2025 power supplies. One is going to drive one build plate and the main board. This board down here is going to trigger both beds, 24 volt beds. We're using external MOSFETs for these, right? And this just has the Z motors in it. The X and Y motor and the extruder motor are going to be mounted on as another circuit board at the top of this center rear pillar back here. And then we'll have an umbilical that'll come over to talk to the tool head. Now, in the designer's setup, he's got both of the power supplies, one here, one over on this side, with the two MOSFETs kind of right here in the middle. And instead of using this 2040, he's got printed cross braces that cut it into 3 sections. And then he's got printed panels for the deck. We went a little bit different thanks to Happy Manufacturing, and I'll show you that in a second. I've also kind of swapped some things around over here. So the Raspberry Pi is normally mounted right here, where it's sloping back right in front of this fan. So this fan would blow right over the Raspberry Pi, which is sitting at a slight angle, and crest the Raspberry Pi and hit right into the stepper drivers. And that would be the next thing right here. And then the display, the standard generic mini 12864 or 64128, whatever it is, would be here. Once again, I can't do that because of the solid 2040 that we put here. So I did the solid 2040. I kind of rearranged the order of these some to make it fit. And I did drop den rails to mount my power supplies because the included prints for the PSUs that he was using, his PSUs are thicker, so they sit down lower. and they did not work with the feet that I am using. I would have to print spacers and raise my feet up in order to use those drop brackets that he had. So kind of deviated a little bit. We used some Wagos to split a single power inlet. In his design, he's running the main power supply, which feeds both of the controller boards, the Raspberry Pi, and one of the beds off of the main switch that's right over here. And then the second one is running to a secondary switch. And I'm just going to have them all turn on and be on all the time. It's still not going to draw power for the second bed unless the trigger is triggered to light up the second bed. Meaning for a 300 by 300 print that's sitting on one side of the build platform, we should not have to run both build plates. So we wouldn't run both build plates. Okay. What am I thinking of? The reason we went with that center brace is Happy Manufacturing was nice enough to cut me some custom ACM panels. And those ACM panels will have a cutout for the umbilical that needs to cut, for the umbilical it needs to come in here, and hopefully I can get this panel in. Oh, can I not get this in with the bed in there? That'll really, really suck. Oh, that's going to suck. We're going to have to really raise the bed up even more. Be able to get this in there. We'll go ahead and raise these up. Now, the front and the back do have swivel capabilities to these sides. These are using standard spherical mounts. The bed rails here at the connection at the rod is using a standard spherical mount like we would on a Trident. And the ones on the front, the whole mounting arm, the mounting cross arm, can swivel. So when Happy did these, he made slots versus holes. The only straight holes were right here. And that allows us some ability to adjust this. But we'll have a hole here for our umbilical, so all of our wires can come down through here and go down in for the two beds, and then the one wire that will bring USB to talk to the Raspberry Pi. And then on the other one here, which will go in on this side, it'll go like that, and we'll get good, whoops, what do we, oh, a wire. That one out of the way. Here we go. So we get some nice panels. It covers everything up nicely. And we even have a custom Dragon logo. Yes, we have the Dragon logo that is used for our folks that have been channel members for a long time. We've got that logo down here. So that was very nice. That was a surprise. So thank you for Happy for doing that for me. And this, having the centerpiece here, gives me a good place to screw these two holes down into, and everything's going to be nice and rigid. There's nothing going to be flopping around. I'm not going to need like 30,000 screws to get the deck panel in there. So I'm looking forward to getting this stuff done. so we can get these deck panels on here. And like I said, we'll have to bring what? Power and, well, we'll bring power and USB up to the other controller board, and then it will run everything up at the top of the machine. So it'll run everything up here. And who knows? I'm pretty sure I'm going to have an extruder on here, like an orbiter or something. So we might even put a SB36, or not an SB36, a Nighthawk 36 board up on the extruder to run all that as well. So your Magneto X is having issues. What's up with the Magneto X? Getting the mag tool error, and you've re-imaged it and it worked a little bit and then it happened again. If I remember right, the mag tool error might be the issue where with the magnets in the linear motion system, I believe. I know there were issues with those. Basically the issue, whoops, spaghetti defects found. Oh, yeah, there's spaghettis. There's spaghettis. What are we gonna do? Turn that one. Resume. Take that and skip that object. We'll grab that. Skip that object. Hopefully it will finish what it can. Okay. Where are we at? 7 o'clock. We can work on trying to get this wiring cleaned up a little bit more. And I wanted to install the wiring for the beds, if we can do that. I did print out these mounts right here. The ones I were using were the Trident mounts, and they work great on the 2020, but on the 2040, it's obviously V slot and not T slot, so it's loose in there. So I'll have to replace these two twist ends down here with these, which should make things a lot nicer. They used flathead, I'll say like the furniture style, full flathead, low profile, whatever they want to call them. I'm just going to use button head screws. Shouldn't make a difference. And speaking of using button head screws, I have a feeling, yes. Folks, I will be right back. I need to run downstairs and dig through some boxes. So I'm going to let you guys chat amongst yourselves. Be nice. And I'll be right back. Let me go with the... Do I not have... Oh, that's great. I don't have the be right back screen there. So I got to do it the old school way. Be right back, folks. turn the, there we go. Let's turn the right one back on. All right, gang, what's going on? Hey, Kenneth 3D Prints, how's it going? Yeah, I had to step away real fast to go and get some of my M5 hardware because I've been taking it down back and forth to Echovate, so sorry. I just need to get a couple of those zip tie points added here to the side of the 2040 so we can harangue our wires. And also, first prints off the FL Sun Super Racer. That's the bottom of the print. First the top. This printed straight up and down like that. And then this one printed on its side. So that would be the bottom side. Layer lines. And top. It's just standard door catch. Just wanted to see if it would work. Does. Has good tolerance. So figured I could do this, and who knows, I might have a need to use it somewhere. So good little test print. I've got a little bit of a longer one I'll do. So we got this. Are the 10s, how are the 10s going to look? 10 should be perfect. Yes. Basically put one of these in the middle, we'll put one on the side, one on that side, and we'll be able to capture our wires, kind of keep them sequestered and out of the way. Yeah, no tuning, just grabbed a generic PLA filament orca slicer and the FL Sun and said, go print me something. So, yeah, FL Sun does have orca slicer profiles built in, so now, because I don't have Octoprint or anything like that, I did have to, save the file and then do SneakerNet, but that's easy enough to do. Yeah, it didn't have to do much at all, Dan. So what we're going to do is I'm going to set up a couple of those on the underlying bar here. So let me grab the camera and I'll show you what I mean by underlying bar. So we've got the crossbars here, and then we've got these long bars that shoot down the length of the bed. So what I'm going to do is set up a couple of the wire ties down here. We'll leave some service loop and we'll tie these wires down so that they're not going to go anywhere, because once again, we're using these connectors. I would prefer not to have to use these, but I also don't want to try and solder, resolder the board if I don't have to. So we'll give that a shot. We should be good. We'll keep an eye on it. But I need to put a couple of these over on the underside of the bed panel so that we can secure our wires effectively. If I don't kill myself trying to get back here, that would be great. Okay. Now the one here up front, we're going to have to try and bring that in somewhat tight. Just because we need to keep it out of the way of the moving screws and stuff. The middle one's going to be an easier one to bring over. And of course, I'm not 100% sure where I want to put these just yet, because I am going to try and do some type of umbilical so it has a way of folding out of the way. There's a part of me that was thinking maybe we do an actual cable train, like a drag chain, but I'm not sure if that's a good idea either. So zip ties, and grab some of those. Oh, we ain't using those. Let's see what we have from our folks at Lineo. They normally have pretty decent zip ties. There we go. Hey, Tech Jeeper, how's it going? Welcome in. Yeah, so we're working on the riff, and we're trying to get some of our wiring corralled and a little bit nicer. I'm going to be cutting some of these and redoing them with a different type of secure clip. And of course, it would have helped if I looked to see where these things go in. All right. Come around here where we might be somewhat closer. It's always a great thing trying to put something black into something black. Hope you're having a great day there, Tech Jeeper, and made it home safely. I know a lot of us had some semi-decent drive, length drives to get home. We had about 13 hours this time, which really wasn't that bad considering we did 30 hours for the last trip that we took. So and we didn't have any storms, we just had to deal with all the heat. So I'm leaving these loose for now, because I'm going to have to feed the thermistor wires through here. The power wires will come down to the two MOSFETs, but the thermistor wires are going to have to come all the way back to the board. So then this one's going to have to get clamped and brought out some, or clipped. And these brought out some. Might have to move a little bit further that way. Okay. So I'm going to grab bed one. Now this bed is only going to be, or going to be the only thing coming through this one. So once I get it kind of snug and where I want it, I will cinch these down. And I like that these are two zip tie points side by side. I don't think I showed these to you, but they're two zip tie points side by side there, which really gives you some good surface area and the ability to get a couple of good zip ties on your wires there. Once again, the thought process is going to be to bring these two together. We'll sleeve them, we'll bring them down, we'll wire them up, and hopefully that'll be that'll be the day. We won't have to do a whole bunch of extra stuff for it. Feel fortunate for your 2.5 hour drive. Yep, there you go. Like Keela and Jeremy, they're relatively close, right? Or are they still a multi-hour drive? I know they live in Indiana somewhere. I just don't know where. I know the Chris's, the KB3D team, they were I think 4 or 5 hour drive. Okay, so once again, we do want to leave some strain relief in these cables. We tighten them down. So a little bit of a loop. Shouldn't be in the way. This is underneath the build plates, so it'll be out of the way of the extruder. And then we just need to figure out, positive and negative, where they're going and how we're going to wire them in. Our thermistor wires, we'll kind of tuck these in to the existing wire looms. We'll bring these around and under, and we'll identify where they go. And I'm only working with the thermistors right now. I'll work with the power in a little bit. Loose enough. There we go. One of these will be a little bit longer than the other because it's not having to travel as far. At least I think it should be. Yeah. And that one will be our rear bed, bed 2. So we'll grab our Sharpie. We'll mark these. The shorter one is the one coming from the front edge. So we'll mark this as TB0. The other one is TB1. And these are going to go, the first one, the main one's going to go on the standard bed thermistor location. Where are you going? Here we go. So it'll go on the standard bed thermistor location, and then the other one, TB1, will go in the hot end 0 position. So now I got to remember where those are at on this particular board. This is an SKR3 board that SKR 1.3 board that I'm using. Trying to look for the I think smartest thing to do is going to be to pull up the schematic. So what we've got here I think they're about 2.5. You're 3.5. Zany Maker is like, yeah, he's like 20 minutes. So we have our 3 thermistor ports down here covered up by my camera. So we'll turn that off. So the 3 ports down here are our thermistors. We have the bed, E0, E1. Now the signals for our beds are going from bed and E0. Remember, our hot end is going to go from the secondary board that's going to be mounted high up on the center pillar. So I'm just going to make sure which one's going where. So 0 is going to go to TB0 is going to go all the way over to the bed, which will be the last 2-pin JST down here. And what I'm fighting with is these connectors are right under the 2040 cross member. So that's what you see me trying to fight with. I'm going to try and bend my wires and see if I can use those as a way of kind of getting these lined up initially to drop it in there. There we go. There's one. Then TB1 is going to go into the E0, which is the second one right next to it. All right, and that's there. This wire, you bring like that. You want to bring this one down a little bit more. So one of the things that we have here is we've got the fan wire from this fan down here that's coming down, and I'm going to put a three-way 2-pin JST connector on this side, and that will let me plug in that fan, this fan, which comes around here, and jumper it right here to the board. That way they're all running off the same pin. And then our other wires here, we'll just have to latch together. And I think that is going to be everything coming this direction. Because the only other thing we had was the bed. Everything else is going to be coming up here, and we can run that down this side because it's going to be some USB cables, stuff like that, that we would probably want to run on the other side. So let me snip these other ones out of the way. We got this coming down. We'll have our power coming down, and we'll size those appropriately. Some of the stuff will come down and loop out early. So we'll just throw a zip tie right there to hold that part of the bundle together. Then we'll need to capture these. Right here, and we'll be keeping everything nice and neat. Which is the goal of our wiring, is to try and get it nicer and neater every time, right? So who all will be going to 3D Printopia later in the year? Who am I going to see there? I know Waters and the Ecovate crew will be there. because we're going to be setting up right next to them. They're going to have, I believe, if what I heard was right, they're going to have dual 8x8 booth setups, and we're supposed to be sitting right next to them, we being the Digital Dragon 3D crew. So now the conundrum being, how do we want to do our positive and negative wires here? Simply being, where I'm going at here is, do we cut these shorter? Do we leave them long and just leave ourselves some maintenance wire to work with? Specifically on this first bed here, because it's going to be fairly long. They do have two 10 wires put together. We are definitely not going to do it that way. My preference would be for a fork connector, because we're going into a forked side there. But kind of part of my thinking is, do I put these two into a 2-to-1 ferrule and then do the crimp connector onto the ferrule? It's something I'm going to have to think about. For now, I'm going to have to get these ends dealt with, though. And I'm going to take these and add them in. To once again keep my wiring nice and as tidy as possible. That one's going to have to come back out. Tad too tight for that, so we'll have to see if taking it out of the one works. If not, we'll take it out of both. Sorry, folks. I know I'm sitting here chatting to myself some. We really love to just go, or to go, just don't know if you'll have the funds. Yeah, I know that's part of the equation for many people, is trying to have the funds to do it. I believe I'm going to get some partial support for this trip, because we're going to be supporting the Ecovate crew and Automate 3D. So and then I've blocked my calendar for work, but there might be an option to go to not Smurf, but Formnext in Frankfurt, Germany, later this year. And that will be a nice trip, because I haven't been to Germany in a while. So it'd really be nice to be able to go back there and see Germany and all it has to offer. Really don't like how they did this. Thought it was soldered. It's not. It might not be soldered. Is that a ferrule? A very poorly crimped ferrule. because normally this would be screwed into a screw down terminal going into a board. So ferrule is not actually bad. This doesn't have an insulated end on it. I would replace it with one of my 2-in-1 ferrules anyhow, but I need to figure out that for the wiring. And I think I'm going to leave the extra length in there just in case I wind up having to get rid of these and go to a Mic 6 build plate setup. That way I could keep these because I do have a CR10 in a box downstairs. So this actually gives me extra beds for a CR10 if I do that. Now I also don't have that ferrule kit up here. So I will be right back. I am going to put you on the be right back screen for a moment and mute the mic. I'm going to run down into the garage and get that stuff that I will need. Sorry, I'm just looking through the connections that I've got going on here. Yeah. Give me a second. I will run down. I'm just going to grab the whole toolbox and bring it up here so it'll be here. But I'll be right back, folks. So the good news is the flyaway kit stuff came in real handy at the show. So that was really good. We still found a gap here or there, nothing major. But yeah, everything came out really good. I think there was one spot where I needed some wire for the automated, but that was easy enough. We found it. Solved that problem pretty quickly. What I'm looking at here and what I'm talking about, you see if I can get it semi-close to the bench camera here, is we've got this ferruled connection. It's 2 wires into one. I don't know, it just doesn't look the greatest to me. So I've got some proper 2-in-1 insulated connectors that I'm going to use. I'll just cut the end off this, restrip some wire, and redo the ferrule. And potentially, what we do is come off of that ferrule with another crimp for the for a fork connector, so that we can go into the MOSFET a little bit nicer and cleaner. I prefer to have a fork connector going into that connector so that it's not able to come out at all, because that would turn into an issue. When I'm talking about the 2-into-1, I'm talking about these style connectors that take 2 wires and go into the 1 ferrule. It's gonna be a cleaner look than what they were using. And then once again, you can use the ferrules and just go down on one side of the screw down terminal. It is a doable thing. It's whether or not you want to do it. A little tug on the end of those to make sure they're good. One side, I'll do the other side. Meanwhile, while I'm doing these, I'm going to think about whether or not I do the secondary crimp and then go basically crimp over crimp, which I think from an electrical perspective is fine, but I also think people probably frown on that as well. Anybody in here know? Anybody in here a certified electrician? Where did that piece go? Here it is. Certifiable, maybe? Yeah. Not certified nor electrician. Gotcha. You're not sure if you're going to make it to 3D Printopia? I understand, Dan. I understand. How does that timeline with school? Because you're you work at a school, right? So end of September, going into October. Of course, hell, I have no idea what school, like hours, days, schedules, and stuff like that are anymore. There's so many different versions of schedules these days. Year round, not year round. This, that, whatever. Yeah, it's just. This one's gray, but I think I like the red, the way the red's crimped better. So we'll switch these over to the red instead of the gray. Hey, Struthgar, how's it going? You have to take some vacay time? Yeah. Luckily, we've got unlimited vacation time with my company. There's still people that don't take any, but I'm going to take advantage of it until they tell me to stop. Go do all of my cool, fun events. See all you cool people all the time, and I'm doing good, Strothgar. I got some sleep, which was helpful. I got I got some hairs cut, which was even more helpful because yeah, I was feeling like a chia pet the whole time at the show. Just felt off because of it, but it's all good. And then yeah, like I said, just got some good rest, which is what my body needed, and we're ready to go have some more fun. We're going to be doing the Maker Meetup this next weekend, and then uh, probably something else after that the following weekend, I'm sure. Oh, wait. Yeah, the following weekend is that thing called 4th of July, so we'll have to figure something out for that. And I'm not soggy. That is true. I tried not to stay outside. I slept in, got up, went and got a haircut right when they opened up, and came back home, and that was it. That was it. It was good to meet you as well. There was quite a few people that I met on Saturday that I don't think I've interacted with here on stream. I know one individual was and I hope it wasn't you, but the laser guy. Um, excuse me, not laser guy, scanning guy, that had the Creality scanners and the Toyota stuff. That was really neat. Him and a couple of others came up and said, you know, hey, I like your streams. I lurk, but I don't interact that much. And you know, your streams are really good. And that's what I like to hear, because I like to know that the work that I am doing on the stream is helpful to everybody. Especially when I do things that require rework, like what I just did. You're going to say, what do you mean? You're not even done with what you're doing? Yes. Let me bring up a visual here. That, my friends, is a hole, not a notch. That means the wires that are going underneath the deck have to go through said hole. And I just zip tied all my thermistor wires in without running them through said hole. Damn. Okay. Well, it's a good thing we have snips, so that we can snip all these wire ties back out, preferably without nipping a wire in the process. Because we're going to have to take all of these out so that we can route those back through there. Awesome. Okay, so we have to get the panel in. We have to get our wires through said panel. Panel's kind of a tight fit, so let's get our panel semi in here. We're going to take these wires. Seriously, come on. You cannot be doing this to me. Undo these. Okay, these two will come that way. These two will have to come down through there. These two will come down, and we'll pull those out. And I will have to, at a minimum, screw these down while I can still get access to the screws. And that out, but which is power? Used are I still have that page up with the so the issue I'm running into now is which side is positive and which side is negative for the outbound side of the chosen things here. Not marked. And I see traces that will answer my question. Not from the top. I'm pretty sure that it's positives in the middle. So the two positives are in the middle, the two negatives are on the outside. But we're going to need to look that up to be sure. And these, I think, were BQ BQ MOSFETs. Also, while I'm at it, I'm going to pop off some maker coins and get a new plate going. Okay. Really got to cut the tag out of this. EQ MOSFET. I'm going to say I'm kind of an idiot because the bed has polarity, but it doesn't have polarity. It's more of it would be switched. I don't think it really truly matters, but at the same time, they're using this like perf board stuff. And I just can't tell which way it's supposed to be as far as positive, negative for the bed. Once again, I don't think it necessarily matters, but think you may have something figured out with the magneto. We'll see what happens. All right, cool. Well, I hope it works out for you there, Dan. I hope it works out for you. Let me see. I know you guys can't see what I'm doing here. Um, and yes, positive on the inside. Connect with the power supply. It needs to emphasize the positive and negative, but don't need to distinguish for the ones going to the heated bed. But we'll kind of follow that logic I had of the positive will go on the middle. So the two positives are side by side, and then the negative will be on the outsides. And ay, ay, ay. Once again, I'm actually connecting the ferruled connector and putting it through on the, I guess, towards the outer edge, because that way, as you're twisting your screw, if anything, the screw itself will pull the connector in rather than push the connector out. And that'll still give you a good connection. I'm doing the pull test on it, making sure I can pull things and nothing moves. We'll need to go through and put some zip ties back under here. We'll want to leave this one a little loose because it'll need to be to support the I need to route the whatchamacallit through the thermistor wire. Like I said, words on stream are hard sometimes. Okay. So now bring those two down through there. Did they like where'd that wire go? I fed it through the zip tie. The zip tie wasn't fully closed, so that worked out not as well as I would have liked. You come here and go over like that. You come down here, do a bend, and come through this. This set of power cables is going to come down and go under everything. What did you get frustrated with today? Cable ties and cables and okay. I am trying to be good and stay PG-13 here. I'm trying to do this. Luckily, I will say that, Happy does do some good cutting and deburring, because some people I would have been bleeding by now. Catching the side of an ACM panel in the arm. I also cannot see chat. There we go. And I'm glad that you're able to stay focused there, Dan. Evil Diesel tends to do the same thing. He'll sit there and listen in and just lurk a lot. But yeah, for now, I know we had talked about the FL Sun Super Racer a little bit. I'm planning on keeping it Marlin for the time being. I want to get used to it, play with it some before I go, gung ho, let's swap everything over to Clipper and all that good stuff. It will most likely go to Clipper, but for now we'll keep it Marlin, play with it that way for a while. I will have to clip these things from underneath eventually. Just because I know I'm not going to have uh, the ability to. I'm going to have to get this uh, panel put down at some point. And we'll have to go through and where are you going here? When we go do the panel, we'll do I'll have to screw it down is what I'm trying to say. We'll leave it there a little loose for the time being, but eventually we will have to put in our screws and screw everything down. We're going to use M3 hardware, I believe. No, M5, and then M3 where the we doing? On that, this stays out because it's got to go. We'll use M5 hardware around the perimeter, M3 hardware in the center. We'll do button head screws all the way around to keep everything nice, clean, and flush as much as possible. Don't keep us in suspense, Dan. You're going to have to let us know if that what you did worked. Okay, we got those back in place. Let's trim what we can get to. And get to, I mean safely, without cutting any wires in the process. All right, there we go. We'll be able to put a whatchamacallit, umbilical sleeve around that to protect those wires against that slot. All right, good. Good to hear it. I love hearing people getting their, uh, getting their troubleshooting figured out. Hearing the excitement as they do, because I know I've been frustrated way too many times with trying to do stuff, and when you finally crack the issue, you're like, yes! 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All right. So this particular panel, we should be pretty good to set up to close it. We still need to put the power connections in on the other side. What I'm going to do is just try and get my thingamabobbers lined up and in place so that we can put screws in and hold this side down. That way as we go to move things around, we're not jostling things loose and, like I said, putting more strain on bed wires than needs to be. Those look good. Those look good. We'll put the two back here. Then we'll have to do our M3s for the other side. And we're M5s for around the perimeter, M3s for the inner edge here. Okay. We need some button head screws, so we'll grab some, I think that was 4mm thick. So we'll grab some M3x8s. That'll work for these two side screws. Seriously. Okay. Now with those done, we'll be able to put in our perimeter screws. And because I'm running out of 10s, I will use 8s. Be fine with these ACM panels. I'll just use them 3x8. So now in the future, we know that we have to have the bed all the way up to pull these panels off. But we can't get the panels off. Like I said, we just have to move the bed all the way up. And this side should be done with wiring because, like I said, we're going to bring our other cable up for USB and power, and we'll have the ability to come right through the back panel and channel it straight up into this piece, so we'll be good there. Like I said, we'll add sleeving here, which will cover this up and give it some more structure. When it goes to move, it'll collapse down out of the way like a normal umbilical. And I don't think we're going to be doing any full height prints anyhow. Hey Timor, welcome in. Just stopped in, can't stay long. Gotcha. Thank you, Timor. Welcome in, Barry Printer. How are you doing? We are doing some wiring. This side is now actually installed. We'll still be working over here on this side. And as needed, I'll flip it over on its side and do some wiring from the underneath. There's still a few panels that are not in place that we'll have access to do some things. We've got our bed wires zip tied up here. It's going to go ahead and cut the edges off of here, or the tails off of the zip ties. And like I said, I do have some of the split loom sleeving that we'll put on here, and that will provide the added structure for the umbilical for the bed wires. And we'll make sure that we'll start at the bottom, push a little bit of it through, and that will give it a little bit more protection against this outer edge of the slot that we have there. We're going to go ahead and add this power in. So bed 1, or I guess bed 0, is running off this power supply and this MOSFET. Bed 2, or the rear bed, the bed right here closest to the camera, is running off of this MOSFET that I'm wiring up right now, and the power supply that is visible. The main board is also off of this power supply. So the board that's going to go on this center pillar back here, that's going to run the X and Y motors and the extruder, will go off of this power supply, and that's why I'll have to pull some power from here, and then we'll do some USB cables to run back here to provide power and USB to that board. Because once again, the USB is how we'll talk between the two boards with Clipper, and then we'll need power to that board to then run our stepper motors and our extruder up here. So I don't want to put the other build plate on just yet. I want to be able to get in here and play around with stuff if need be. I still need to wire up our fans, which reminds me there's a fan cable under here that I need to fish through. Here we go. And we're going to do the 3-into-1. I have not printed that mount yet, but I will show you what it's going to look like. It'll be secured with a very small printed back plate with 2 M3 screws that'll go through the board, through the printed part, and into the T-nuts over here. But we'll have our 2 side fans that will plug into the splitter like this. So this fan comes over, goes into side 1. The fan over here comes over, goes in the middle. And then this is the jumper from the board up to the connector. It'll go right there. And the reason this has some length to it is because remember, our board tray can slide out from the front if we need to. So once again, there'll be a printed part that'll be right back here that makes the spacer, covers the soldered pins here. We'll put a couple of, either we'll put 2 rolling T-nuts, or we'll use just some hammerhead T-nuts, and we'll mount this right there, and that way it all stays underneath the deck panel and it'll be out of the way. But that will be that. What else can I work on? I still can't, well, I have to build the tool head, and I'm trying to figure out how I want to do the tool head. I will have the ability to run like a Nighthawk stealth burner board. Or not stealth burner, but a Nighthawk 36 board. There we go. We can run a Nighthawk 36 board and make that an umbilical as well. That way all we need is this sideboard is going to run the 2 or the 3 motors at the top. Or we can just run it umbilical down to the board that's going to be on the side. And the board by the side, once again, is going to mount back here on, it'll mount in a box back here. And there will be a standout on the side that will allow us to mount the umbilical that will come up and over to feed both the X-axis and the tool head. The tool head's going to be running a dragon burner with a specialty hot end that I cannot show. But yeah, like I said, that is most likely going, I think I'm just going to go ahead and get a Nighthawk SB or a Nighthawk 36. I keep saying Nighthawk SB because I've got those for days. Right now I've got, I think, 3 over here, and I just picked up 3 more. They will be used for a certain project that's coming down the pipeway. But yeah, I think that's all I want to do for stream tonight. I know I got in the Cable sleeving. Do I know where I put it because it came in right before I went to MRRF? That answer is no. I do not know where it went. Will I find it? Yes, I will find it before Thursday. So when we stream Thursday, we can clean up this wiring. I will reach out to V4 Projects and see if he's got the stuff for the secondary board here. I know he was running the Pico for the secondary board, and I am fine with that. That's no problem. I think I have one here. If not, I can get one fairly quickly. And I will work on putting together the tool head off stream, because once again, I can't show the tool head. We'll just do the mounting, and if I need to, I'll shroud it as we're doing the install. I will figure that out somehow. So with that said, who else had a great time at MRRF? I know several of you were there. Did you enjoy yourself? Did you have fun? Was the heat and moisture a major damper for you, or are you geared up and ready for the next year and you'll just figure out a way of cooling off? I will tell you, I can't remember who it was that posted about their filament that they got from Edge of 3D, and the fact that it was sitting in the poly dryer, and the poly dryer was at like 85% humidity. But all of the open spools that we grabbed are currently in the drying cabinet. Wow, that's kind of high. 1 second. We'll come down here a bit. Hi, everybody. Yeah, so I have all of the open PLA, the PETG that I took with me, went into the drying cabinet, and it's down to 10%. So we dropped 9% relative humidity in that drying cabinet since we've been streaming. So over the last 3 hours. So how am I doing now? Well, we got the bed wired up. I had to, after I got all of the wire run and plugged in for the thermistors, I had to undo them all because, yeah, it's not a, it's a hole, not a cutout for the area that I had Happy make. So I think what I'll tell them is, hey, just make that cutout go all the way to the end. That way you'll be able to still fish things through, or get the panel in there if you've already got the wiring run and done. You should still be able to get the wiring in there. That would support a wire chain a little bit better, because it'll give you a point to actually run the thing. Is it big enough for a grommet? Oh, I could print a TPU grommet. That's not a problem. The point being is, it's a hole in the plate, not a cutout along the edge. So you have to run the wires through the plate before you put the plate down, and so you're having to move the plate around weird angles to get the wires run around. Or just throw the wires through, put the plate down, and then put it on the side and do all the wiring underneath. But yes, we can put a grommet in there. That's not a problem. We can put a just TPU in there. I think it was a 20 by 20 with rounded corners. I think that's what we decided on. But yeah. Ugh, excuse me. Sorry about that. You made a keyboard case while you were gone on the belt printer. The double F row 1600, 1800 keyboard. Double F row 1800 keyboard. Nice. I'll have to check that out probably tomorrow. Actually, real fast. What is... Yeah, so I was off today and I had people at work like trying to call me through WebEx and everything else, sending me texts, hey, we really need this information. Well, that's great. I'm on leave. I will see you tomorrow. Yeah, I've got a meeting at like 8:45. So yeah, definitely I'll be in tomorrow. I'll come into the shop, drop stuff off, maybe do my first couple of meetings from there, and then may have to go over to the building. We'll see. Galleon by Digital Carpentry. Okay. So do you need to show up at 7? No. I mean, I'll probably be there by 7:30, 8 o'clock. But you can be there at a more respectable time, but I may have to go into the office for our staff huddle. I'm off work today, don't call. No, they can call, I'm just not going to answer. I mean, it's that. So here's the thing. I told work, if it's a critical emergency, you've got my phone number, you call me on this. When I get a call from WebEx, I have no idea if it's anybody at Cisco or because it's my corporate LAN number, it could be a vendor that has my work number. And I've done that where I've answered the phone call and it's been some vendor cold calling trying to sell me the latest and greatest AI security product. And I'm like, dude, I'm not even in the state. Like, go away. So if they need to get hold of me, they call me directly on this number. They don't do it over WebEx. And if they're trying to do it over WebEx, then we'll have a different conversation tomorrow, I'm sure. But yeah, there are people that can cover down and they don't need to call me. It's basically where I'm going. And I'm on leave. I'm going to enjoy that leave. Hey, Zombie, how's it going? Hope you're doing well. Also, folks, now that we're back, so Thursday, we're going to take this right here, which is the Creality K1C, and we're going to do some more mods. So Thursday, we'll put the DXC extruder in it, and we'll pop in the Fadus hot end. But we did get this in right before MRRF, and we will be putting the DXC extruder in, and then we'll throw in one of the Fadus nozzles, since I do have the unicorn style. But yeah, the nice thing is this is supposed to be a drop-in replacement. It moves the filament sensor from external to the printer, which, because I put the skirt mod or the top hat mod on, it's moved right inside the top hat. But this will bring it directly at the tool head versus, through the PTFE tube. Slowly unpacking. Yeah, I took the Death Racer box and just put it back where we store the totes. The other one got put out in the front because I know, or put out in the middle of the living room, dining room area because I know I needed to go through it because it had my mobile streaming setup stuff in it. I've got to take some stuff down to Echovate for my, the auto eject and the Mark IV back to Echovate, and then come back and pack up the the enclosed box turtle, and the HTLF, the Happy Turtle lettuce feeder, to bring back with me on Saturday for what's his name, Thunder Keys. Did I death race? I did not death race. I was building a box turtle, so if we partaked in the death race, it was Evil Diesel out there. Yeah. So we've got a screw, because we reuse all of the main screws, but one screw is different. And the new DXC extruder. Here, let's come over to the side here so I can get closer without having to lean over the bench. But here is our DXC extruder, hand for size. It's not that big. I believe it does stick up higher than the default extruder. But the nice thing that you'll notice here is there's two pivot points. So there's big gear and then there's two pivot points. Something similar is used in the Nextruder. But we'll go ahead and install this. We'll use the same motor that's on the existing extruder. So we'll take that off, mount it here, and our wires will kind of bend down in this recessed channel here. But this is our filament sensor right here at the top. We'll add in our motor, and this will be a drop-in replacement for the existing extruder. We've got we've got the little extension wire for the motor, and we may or may not have to use that, and a zip tie. So not a lot of parts because we're reusing all of the main parts. There's one screw that has to get added. Other than that, everything else is stock part, just take out and reuse. So I've been chomping at the bit to go ahead and get this installed, and it's just I needed to wait until after the show so I can focus on stuff for the show. We'll go ahead and get this installed on Thursday, and we'll get some prints going, and then hopefully we'll have the ability to go and work on the riff a little bit more, because we'll have some more files in for the gantry stuff. Well, we got this in right before MRRF, so we'll install that and that on the K1C. You're making a quick keyboard case. Did you do any more CAD for Mukesh Waters? Yeah, there was quite a bit of racers, and I'm glad that they had the other side of me. I never went into the other building, and I should have went in there. Did they have people actually with maker tables out there in that other building, Zombie? Sorry about that. I know that there were some people with some pit areas over there, and they had battle bots over there because I was trying to print some parts for a couple of the teams over there. All right, cool, Waters. I did talk to Mukesh, and he just hadn't looked at that because they were trying to look at some, or they were working on some other stuff. So did you get over into the other buildings, because I never went over there. The question was was there maker tables over there as well, or just like pit type areas where people were working on their death racers or drag racers or what have you? Because if there were maker tables over there, I didn't see any of them. Yeah, I know they were doing the death racing over there. I know they had death racers, the dragsters, and they had battle bots. But did they have any, like, did any of the maker tables go over there, or was it just more all the stuff centered on the battle bots and pits? I guess that's kind of what I was asking. That's kind of all I had right now. I guess if you guys want to, I can go down and grab the FL Sun and bring it up and set it up here, and we can start a print. But yeah, it's a Delta. It still runs Marlin. We'll probably do some content on that in a future stream. I didn't really have too much more to go. It's almost, what, 9 o'clock? Wow. I may actually have to try and get some sleep since I'm going to have to get up in the morning again. But yeah, that's kind of where I was at. I tried to take some, I did some videos and I posted some videos on TikTok and a couple of the other socials from the events. I did go through and do a photo dump in Discord. So if you guys want to, we can take a look at Discord. Let me see about bringing that up. Like I said, I did a photo dump on Discord. You were surprised to see me still streaming. How hard do you think it'll be to get a 400 by 400 heater for a bed? Well, there's a few 400 builds out there. I know you'll share some pictures tonight, mostly from the setup day. Okay, gotcha. What am I doing? Bring this over here, go to here. I did that in MRRF, right? Yeah. So we'll go full display here. They're 400 by 400 heaters for like rat rigs and a few other things, so you should be able to find some 400 heaters. This was me trying to throw some black light. This was the black light from Overture onto the box turtle. Mrs. Dragon was taking some photos here at this point. Obviously, me working on some box turtle wiring, having a good time. Diesel was having a blast. I think he had a kid that sat over there for about like 2 hours listening to him go on, and they were talking about robotics and the death racers and the difference between the tracked and the mechanism and all that. Here's me. I think this was, this was Saturday where I was still building the box turtle out, chatting with various people. And yes, I did bring up the instructions while I was going through it just to make sure that nothing was changed or anything. It was a little bit harder and I had to stay focused because each lane was a different color, which meant I needed to really pay attention to the orientation so that when I did the extruder and the respooler, that I had the like lane 1 motor to lane 1 motor, lane 2 to lane 2, and I didn't flip-flop a bunch of things around. So luckily I did it and they were all right, but I had to think about it. There was a couple of times. There was me and the missus with Chuck Hullebuck. Me and the missus with I don't know who this is. Is this Imprinted Color? Oh yeah, that's Pez Liz. Yeah. So we had some pictures with Liz, Big Jano. That was that set. This was, I think, Saturday morning. We got in there early, and I just walked through and walked up and down the aisles just taking pictures of everything. So this is a new Jabberwocky tool head on a Trident. A little bit close up of that Jabberwocky. Once again, I do have one of these kits. I got one of these kits from KB3D to test and play around with. So we will be doing one of these builds in the near future. This is a stealth changer. We will be doing one of these builds. So this is a 6-head stealth changer, which means this is a 350 size system. I've got a 300, so I am getting a 4-head kit. I will have 2 orbiters, 2 orbiter 2.5s, and 2 Galileo extruders. So that's what Jason's sending me. This is a basic setup. So the Stealth Changer kit, they're using one of these new power supplies. And it's kind of hard to tell, but this is 5 volt and 24 volt. Let me rethink that. I'm sorry. 24 volt positive, 24 volt negative, and this is 5 volt positive, 5 volt negative. So the nice thing about this is you have dedicated power out to your Raspberry Pi, and then 24 volt for the things that need 24 volt. So this is, you know, your SSR for your mains bed. So you've got your inputs and your outputs right here. This is a Leviathan board with the extension, which would be needed for your Stealth Changer setup. And then this is the 6-in-1 adapter that you'll need to run your tool heads. So this is basically the Leviathan controller, the expansion, and then the Nighthawk Hexa 6-in-1 port adapter. That's a Jabberwocky. Is this the A4T zombie or a rapid burner? I don't know this one right off the top of my head. Hey Toby, how's it going? Hope you're doing well. Hope you're doing good. Are we going to see you this weekend, Toby? Or Tobias? This, of course, is the Orbiter 3 setup. And then a standard Stealth Changer or Stealth Burner tool head. And all of these will be running off of that Hexa. So you can basically run whatever type tool heads you want for your Stealth Changer. We had the Maker Hive, be a maker, build, create, learn, hack. So they were there. This guy had all kinds of Star Wars droid stuff there. Elion Engineering. This was part of this setup here. This, you know, they had the hover cars. This is one of the alien creatures from Riddick, and then you got the Men in Black, and this is a close-up, and all 4 of these screens were scrolling something, right? So this is a cool little setup there. Some Zany Maker Zach. This was an interesting printer. It is a belt printer. No, not a belt printer. Not a belt printer. But this is a heavily modified printer. Not sure exactly. It looks like it used to be an Ender at one point, but heavily modified. Didn't get a chance to really chat with them about it. Once again, here's a stealth changer. Looks like rapid burners with a box turtle, a dual box turtle setup. Hey, Shenanigans, how's it going? Awesome. Yeah, I may have, opened the door on a couple of things. But this was a Savoron H2D plus 4. Don't ask. This was a butchering together, but it was, yeah, 6 tool head stealth changer. It did have a couple of those AMS? No, box turtle, an AMS. It was a kludgy. It was a kludgy. They had some big death racers over there. This was Offset's area. So we had the big death racers. A Micron stealth changer build. So 3 tool head. Silver Sunbeam. K2 Kevin's Maker Chips area. And there's a rack. If you know, you know. Who is this? Spool Designs. Oh yeah, Spool Designs, and then Karen Chow. Gen 2 Quick Lock. This was an interesting looking setup. Yep, I will be looking for you. Make sure to let me, make sure I understand that it's you, because I'm still trying to put names to faces and stuff. Names to faces to handles. So, oh yeah, Maker Mine. This was me Saturday morning running through the tables, grabbing chips, and taking photos so that I can go back. But I want to check this one out. This was an interesting system. And if I remember right, it does have Grimfinity bottoms as well. But, it's got drawer faces that click on. It's got badging so you can badge things and know what's what. This was layer by layer, and I love this because the maker chips were in different parts. So you had the center, and then you can grab differing rings for the outer rings and clip everything together to make your own layer by layer maker chip. Right, so that was cool. And then this was poops, fails, stuff like that. He had several of these where he had melted down his plastics to make like sheets, and you can use those sheets to do other things. So that was really, really cool to see, because most people don't think about reusing things in that way. Here's Zombies. Hedgehog makes spools, and his really, really killer 3D sets truck. Like, Evil Diesel has already bought this and is slicing it up. He really wants to build one of those tankers. DJ Nightwolf, I got one of his shirts. He came around on Sunday and gave me a shirt, so you'll see one of his shirts on stream here soon. An idea former. This looks familiar, doesn't it, Waters? Hey Daisy, how are you doing? Hope you're doing well. So, Ecovate has an Idea Former, was it IR3V2 printer there. They're going to be selling them. So, and me and Waters are going to be doing some, we're going to try and do some things with this printer. They're going to give us one to tinker with and see what we can do with it. So, just throwing that out there. Yeah, they were using these to print swords and stuff, and one of the projects I think Waters is still doing is 4040 extrusion, and they're going to build a table that they can use at the booth at 3D Printopia with it. So they'll be making a table out of 4040 printed extrusion. This was really cool, and I liked seeing videos Sunday afternoon after when we were tearing everything down, of everybody sitting down and trying out the chair. I think MakerMind Nexus sat down in the chair, had the table there with his jambalaya, and was probably eating like his 6th cup of jambalaya. Yeah, it looked pretty comfy. I didn't want to, I'm glad they waited until Sunday to let people try and sit down. Where is Miss Dragon doing? Well, that's two different questions. Where is downstairs in the front office? What is she doing? I don't know. She had a meeting, and then after the meeting, she was going to be probably sitting there doing things. But this was Martin's 3D that did the chair up. So that was really cool. Some more Zany Maker Zach. And I don't know if you can tell, but there's a Digital Dragon 72 signed this at 3D Printopia last year. So I think he had like 3 of these larger prints that everybody had signed. Big Janos table with said printer that did get up and running. It did take a little bit of damage on the way home, but I think it was just the tensioning knob on the extruder, so that should be easily fixed. Tiefling's Workshop. I had to take a picture of this because, one, Evil Diesel, his character for D&D on Friday nights is a Tiefling, which is a very small cat creature. But they had all of these prints. And I think later on I may have a photo of this fully put together. But that was a massive print. Prusa had this on display. You can click that UR code and pull this down off printables, but it's all of the different infill patterns with different amounts, different infill amounts. So that might be something interesting, nod, nod, wink, wink, Waters, for prints. And then there's somebody with a Prusa, looks like a 3 with an, or wait, this is the Prusa booth, not somebody. This is Prusa. So this is most likely a Mark IV with an MMU 3. And I'll say we had some interesting conversations with Pooch and Steve Builds and some others, I guess it was Saturday night after the event back at the hotel. And specifically talking about this type of thing, right? You've got the printer, you've got the MMU, you've got the buffer at least hanging off the side of the printer so it's close. But then you've got the spaghetti that comes back to the spools. And are those spools in a rep box? Are they in, splayed out like this using the Prusa rollers? Are they in something else? Are they coming out of, like poly dryers and poly boxes? That type of stuff. That it just takes up space. So that's the only downside to the MMU, the IRCFA, and other things like that, is just the space of having the buffer, having the spools. Where do you put all the spools? How do you deal with filament management as it comes back out and does the lane changes, stuff like that. So we had some good conversations going on there. We had the Green Gate booth. They were out there full force. This was a tool changer. Interesting, the gentleman back here was actually trying to deal with a clog. And I had that same problem last year at MRRF when I brought the black box. It was so hot and moist, I was fighting clogs left and right. But yeah, this is a neat little setup that he had going here. I think this is based on the old E3D changing system, toolhead changing system. We had somebody there with a telescope. I'm not sure what this telescope is. I was hoping that Modlight would see this and give me a comment on this, if this is the same type of telescope he was working on. Some various colorful printers. Once again, this is a Micron, a V0, a Prusa that's been recolored. And then this. Oh dear God. West 3D came to bear, and this bad boy is massive. Like, this is literally almost half the table, if not longer. The Nerf, yes. All of these are soft foam dart flingers. And yes, they were out in full force. We got the West 3D booth over there. Lee Marie's booth was over there. I think they're the next up. Yep. Lee Marie, this is a really cool banner. I need to talk to them about where they got that banner from. They had their stealth changer there. I'm not sure if their stealth changer was running, because I know that they were rushing hard to get it done and all wired up. So if anybody knows if their stealth changer was running at the show, I'd like to know. I don't remember seeing it running. Their Death Racer. Machined upgrade parts for your printer. This was Mandala Roseworks booth, which was right next to Lee Marie. And they have all of the machine parts you would want to update your printer. Everything from the 2.4 support rails and wings to set up your thing, to these are the XY joints. On the previous picture, you saw basically a kitted out Trident. So full gantry CNC parts. You had the yokes, which I now have a set of. You've got the mini Oldhams that go on the yokes. You have your kinematic kinematic mounts. So everything you want to make your machine extra heavy and extra rigid, get it from Mandala. Laser 3D CNC. This was awesome. He was there and he had his scanner, and I sent Evil Diesel down there to talk to him, and Evil Diesel came back and said, it's no longer a want, it's a need. So it was like every other table. Exactly. You didn't see it running? Gotcha. Okay, Waters. But yes, this was really cool. He had it set up. Everybody was in here testing out the scanner, and it was coming up live on the TV and stuff. So I didn't get down to see it myself. I did send Evil Diesel down there to check it out. I know Evil Diesel is chomping at the bit to get down to the shop. and try the, you guys have a Revo point there, if I remember right, that he wants to check out, as well as the Uniformation GK2s. I have met Sandhills a couple of times, and I know he does scanning. Yeah, we've chatted with him some. They had scanned this fully at the show, and he had the renders and everything. He scanned this. Now, if I remember right, this is a little bit easier to scan because it's a little more matte, right? You do get some play from the lights, but it's a little more matte. This, with that glossy clear coat paint, is really a lot harder to scan. That's why you need all of the dots on there and stuff, to be able to give the scanner something to pick up and relate to. Overture was there. They were right across from, well, actually we had Kadevi right across from us, and Overture was right next to them. And then to the right of Overture was Polymaker's booth. This is where I kept grabbing the black light. And then, speaking of the Kadevis, I did buy 3 of the plates. So I got a K1C plate, a bamboo plate, and a K1 Max plate, which is 370 by 370, which will work with my Ender 5 Plus, which is 370 by 370. So I've got those 3 plates. There's the box turtle. This was, we had gotten everything. I got the second auto eject up and validated, and it was homing, and I moved it off to another table there. And this was me getting ready to do the build. So this was the clean box before the storm. And then here was some more build stuff. This is my son over here in the background. We made good progress. And I will tell you, I was stopping and getting Duncan on the way. And I had a call in to KB3D. They were coming out of Elkhart, actually where my son lives now. They were staying in Elkhart, and they were bringing in Duncan on their way in. So I was two-fisting it Saturday and Sunday morning, and then all afternoon I was drinking water and liquid IV and sports drinks. There's the orange auto eject up here in the back left here. This one went home with K2 Kevin. So this was me. What was going on here was, I see this new maker spool. This was when the kid came up and said the weapon, that he had a battle bot that had a tumbler weapon, and his weapon, when he went to test it, he did a hit and it blew everywhere. And he needed a new one printed out of PLA Plus. So he went and grabbed some new makers, and we kind of stopped everything and got we got a part going for him over on the Mark IV. So I think we saw that picture a little bit earlier. There's an Evil Diesel pick. Like I said, he was in his element. I love seeing him when he's talking to the kids about the either the Death Racers or Battle Bots or just RC robotics in general. He has a blast, and that's kind of his element right there. This was awesome, the Turtle Castle build. And coming up next, this 3-headed dragon was several prints. They had the big Godzilla here. They hadn't stuck all of his rear scales in yet, but they had those there. They were still trying to get everything set up. There's some box turtle builds, me getting a liquid IV going. that was when I realized all of a sudden my head started hurting. We had Mrs. Dragon and my son. This was Saturday. They brought us back some Jimmy John's because they had tacos, which was fine, but neither one of us felt like tacos or standing out in the sun to get them. Me starting to put all the lanes in. At this point, everything's done up. I think I was starting to kind of box things up and get things ready for the giveaway. This was Sunday morning. Whoops, going back through those. And I think we went through those ones already. Some Chuck Hullabuck. This is a up to no good conversation. I relayed a conversation to Liz about having an opportunity to pick up a K2, or excuse me, a K2, an H2D, and Miss Dragon said no. And she's like, she did what? So I sent Miss Dragon over to talk to her, and she was trying to convince Miss Dragon that I need to buy her her own bamboo. And they just started chatting a bit. So she's working on her. Mrs. Dragon is going to have her own dedicated printer, and she'll start slicing and doing more and more of her own. But she's learning how to once it's sliced, she's learning how to clean and get prints going again and change filament out on the Anycubic. This was the gentleman, can't remember his name to save my soul, but he is the winner of the box turtle, and he was happy. This is another, so Jedi Spidey is doing a full-size Master Chief. This is a full-size printed statue. And the detail on it was amazing. They had several large prints on this. And then this is Tiefling Workshop. I told you I had some pictures of this fully done up. This is major, major. I think Diesel said this is basically about a week's worth of printing. And I think everything is laid out to be printed on Prusa Mark III size bed or bigger. Hey, 3D Medic Vince, how's it going? Your coworker printed a similar dragon, if not the same one. He painted it and has it displayed at work. Nice. If you can take some pictures, Jedi Spidey, that would be awesome. You're working on the chess piece now? Great. Hey, Mr. Wizix. Yeah, this was awesome seeing this setup. That's the beginning of that set. And that's the end. So the photo dump for Murph is out here on my Discord channel, the Dragon Den, under Murph. Yeah. So if you want to go check out any of those pictures, they're there. I think Diesel's probably going to drop whatever pictures he took out here as well. Feel free to drop yours or link yours, like Zombie, if you're still listening. I know you were going over some of yours today, but feel free to link some of yours. That would be pretty cool. No peds inside the building. Ah. Gotcha. We'll see if he took, I'm sure he probably took some pictures before he put it in the building. So see if you can't get some pictures. I'd love to see them. Love to see them. Yeah, I didn't even think about that, Jedi Spidey. That makes sense. I know Diesel was working on Tiamat, a 5-headed dragon in resin. I'll see if I can get him to focus and stop scrolling some. But folks, that's kind of what I had today. I decided to wear my Armored Turtle box turtle shirt that I finally got. So we got that. Oh, dang it. I've got to fix that. But yeah, that's all I've got today. It's, like I said, 9:30. I'm going to go ahead and find us a place to raid into. And then I will see everybody again Thursday. It is Tuesday, isn't it? I'll see everybody again on Thursday. And like I said, on Thursday, we will grab that K1C and do the DXC upgrade on the K1C here on the bench. And hopefully by then, we'll have some more parts printed and the ability to do some more work on the RIF. If not, then we'll work on that another day. Saturday is the Maker Meetup Day at Ecovate, and I believe it's, well, let's put it this way. It's open to close. It's noon to whenever. That's just going to be it from now on. It'll be starting at noon to whenever. What are weekdays on festival weeks? Yeah, it's a blur is what it is. Cool, Jedi Spidey. Love to see you again. It's always good to see you out there. I'm glad we're getting more and more makers coming out there as well. We've got Thunder Keys is going to be coming down out of Virginia. I know Happy Manufacturing has talked about trying to come down. He's also up in Virginia. And Rob Minks talked about coming down. So hopefully we'll be able to get a few more makers down there. And I'd love to get Rob Mink down there to show off the baby belt. And if I get word that he's coming down, I will bring my baby belt. And maybe we can get Water's baby belt built before then as well. But once again, let me see who is up and running. Ooh. Okay, he just started. Layer by layers up. So there is somebody. Big Jano is up and running, but there is somebody that I want to jump over to if they are actually started, and they are actually started. Nope. Is he or is he? Yeah, I think he just started. So I'm going to jump over to 3D Print SOS. He's starting to stream on Twitch. He's dual streaming, so he's streaming Twitch and YouTube at the same time. So I need to pick his brain on that. But let's go on over and check out 3D Print SOS. That's Fader. He's a really cool guy. If you're going to 3D Printopia, I guarantee you will see him there. He will be running around there. I don't know if he'll have a booth or not, but he will be there. But thank you everybody for being here, coming out, hanging out and chatting about MRRF 2025 and everybody that survived both the heat, the moisture, and the power outage on Sunday. For those of you that'll be at the Maker Meetup this Saturday at Ecovate 3D in Raleigh, North Carolina, I will see you then. And for those of you that can make it here on Thursday, I will see you Thursday as we work on our Creality. Thank you everybody for being here, and you all have a great night. See you later. Bye now. And for those of you watching this later on YouTube, thank you for staying till the end. If you like what you see and you want to see cool new projects that are coming up on the channel, be sure to like and subscribe below. Ring that bell, and when you check that bell so you get notified of future videos, and videos like YouTube's going to be suggesting right over here. Thank you very much, everybody. Have a great